Greetings, and in this short video presentation we're going to see how we go about creating a virtual install of Windows XP using an unattended ISO image. Now what this does for us is allows us to not have to interact at all during the installation, or we may have to interact very little. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that right now. For this demonstration I'll be using Workstation 14 Pro from VMware, but you can also use the VMware player. They both have exactly the same wizard. So regardless of which software you want to use, if you want to use the player, you see here where it says create a new virtual machine, you just click on that. If you're using the Workstation Pro, just click on the tile that says create a new virtual machine. The wizard is exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to have to do is download the ISO image that we need for this unattended install. Now in the lab you have some links. If I put my mouse over this download link for the Windows XP SP2 unattended install and hold down the control key, it will go ahead and take me out to the download site. And once I'm out to the download site, you'll see that I have the ISO image that is ready to be downloaded. To download this, I'm going to go up here to the right and I'm going to click on these three dots. That gives me the option to download. When I click on this download option from the context menu, it brings up the save file option. I can then go ahead and save the ISO image anywhere on my machine that I so choose. So make sure wherever you want to place this ISO image that you remember where you put it, because we're going to need it for the installation. I'm going to save mine to a folder called ISO images up on my Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and we're now going to proceed on with the lab. So from my Workstation 14 Pro, I'm going to go ahead and click on the tile that says create a new virtual machine. That brings up the new virtual machine wizard. We're going to go ahead and select typical as our installation type. We're going to say next. Up here we have to click on the browse button, and I have to find that ISO image that I downloaded. This is what you have to do at this particular window. Find that ISO image and just double click it and it'll pop in. Windows XP Professional was detected, so it's going to go ahead and let us do the easy install. I'm going to go ahead and say next. And here it wants some information. It wants the product key and it wants the full name and a password. And then we're going to check the box to log us on automatically. So from within the file that I have for this lab, I'm just going to copy this particular key here. And we're going to go back over here. And I'm just going to right click inside the box where the key belongs and paste that information. The username can be anything except administrator or guest, and I'm going to go ahead and type in the password. That's my password, and I'm going to go ahead and select the box here to log on automatically. And from here we're going to say next, and now I can give it a user-friendly name. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it as Windows XP Professional. I'm going to say next. I'm going to knock down this 40 to 5. And we're going to store the virtual disk as a single file. I'm going to go ahead and say next to that. This is the confirmation page, and when I say finish here, it's going to go ahead and start the installation, and we should not be prompted. We may be prompted for the password at the logon screen, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. So you have to remember the password that you typed in during the creation process with this wizard. I'm going to go ahead and say finish, and now the installation process will begin. There's two parts to this installation process. There's this text portion, or the DOS, and then there's the GUI portion. It's going to go through the text portion here first. And when it gets done, it's going to restart, and then it's going to come up and it's going to do the GUI installation process. The computer is now going to go ahead and restart, and when it comes back up, we're going to begin the GUI portion of the installation process. We've now begun the GUI portion of this installation process, and we've not been prompted for any input from the user. Notice that it says 39 minutes on this particular window, but the actual time is closer to probably 10 or 15 minutes. So go ahead and just let it roll on by itself, and we shouldn't be prompted, but we might be for a password, but that's not a big deal. We're going to go ahead and let it continue on by itself. We're now in the last couple of minutes of the installation process. And you can see that it says 3 minutes, but it's not even close to that. And now it's just going to automatically restart and come back up. And we should either be prompted for a password or it should log us automatically onto the desktop. Let's see what happens. And we got prompted for a password, so we're going to go ahead and type that in real quick. This is the administrator password, which is also password. All lowercase. Password, all lowercase. Go ahead and hit enter. And we now are presented with the desktop. Now notice that we have a small screen. VMware Workstation 14 is going to automatically install the VMware tools for us. So you got to be patient. Once it gets to the desktop, the installation process for the VMware tools will install, and that's what's going to allow us to go to full screen. Here we see the Windows installer is actually popping up for the VMware tools, and just go ahead and let it rock on by itself. It'll do everything automatically. Also notice that we got some balloons popping up over here telling us that the automatic updates are turned off. That is correct. We want to leave those automatic updates turned off. This is our attack victim. We don't want to do anything that's going to deny us access, so we're going to keep it as vulnerable as possible. No antivirus is installed. And the other thing we're going to do is go to Start, go to Control Panel. Up inside the Control Panel, we're going to switch over to Classic View. Scroll on down to, keep getting pop-ups, the Firewall, and turn the Firewall off. Alright, go ahead and turn that off, and we're going to go ahead and say OK to that. We might have to wait until it gets done here. There it goes. And we say OK to that. Now the tools have completely installed. We have our full screen. It may want to restart, and that's what it's going to do now. When it comes back up, we're going to log on again by typing in our password, and we will now have our Windows XP fully installed and ready to hack. So our Windows XP machine is now back up, and we have our desktop. We want to make sure that we don't get logged off every 10 minutes for inactivity. So we're going to go ahead and right-click anywhere on the desktop, go to Properties, and on the Display Properties, we're going to go to Screensaver. And where it says Screensaver, we're going to pull this down and we're going to select None. And we're going to say Apply, say OK, and now we will not be kicked off for inactivity. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and optimize our Windows XP virtual machine. To do this, we're going to need to shut down. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the machine. Now, pay attention because it's very important that you don't want to corrupt. You don't want to corrupt your installation for Windows XP, and this is the only way you can shut it down correctly. You cannot go up here to the right corner and power it off. That's no different than walking behind your computer in your house or at work and jerking out the power cord. We need to gracefully shut down these virtual machines just as if they were a physical machine. And to do this, we're going to go to Start, click on the Turn Off, and then we're going to say Turn Off one more time. That's going to shut down this virtual machine, and then we're going to go into the settings, and we're going to defrag the hard drive real quick. This is the virtual machine settings, and I can get in here a couple of different ways. If I go in here and I select my library, I find my Windows XP, I can right click, and here I can go to settings. Now, I'm showing you this because this is how you can do it if you're using the player. Just go to the Management Console, left window pane, find your Windows XP, and right click on it, and you can get to the settings. Once you're up inside of the settings, find your hard disk, and you'll notice over here on the right that you have some options under disk utilities. One of those is defragment. Now with Windows XP, it becomes easily defragmented, and when it does this, it's going to give you a lot of grief. It's not going to want to install or load or boot or reboot or shut down. To help fix this problem, you've got to go ahead and defrag it. So go ahead and defrag it. It takes just a couple of minutes. And when the defrag is done, we can then move on to try to compact the disk. I know a lot of students are asking, why are we using Windows XP and not Windows 8 or 10 or 7? Well, the newer operating systems all use a different code, and they've all been optimized for security. So they're very tough to hack into. Windows XP is the old operating system, and it allows us to hack into it much easier, like Server 2008 or Server 2003. Those are all older operating systems, and they're still available in most networks. About 85% of all corporate networks have some virtual or some physical installation of Windows XP running. Now think about it. All that old software that has to still be used has to run on a 32-bit system or a 16-bit system. That's Windows XP. So when Windows XP was created, they spent a lot of money for software that they don't want to get rid of now. So what operating systems do banks use for their ATM machines? They use Windows XP. What about their HVAC system? What about their security cameras? What about their security system? What about other monitoring software that they have to have in the building? That's all done with an older version of Windows XP, because that software that was developed cost thousands of dollars, and those corporate CFOs are not wanting to spend any money to have that software rewritten for the new operating systems, especially 64-bit. So that's why we still see a lot of Windows XP out there in the world. And I will be trying to come up with some labs later on for Windows 7. We do have some labs for Windows or Server 2008. And we will be hacking Linux. But that should answer the question about why are we using Windows XP so extensively in the course. And that's the reason. Because, one, it's fun to hack Windows XP because it's not going to give us any grief. With Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, we got to use social engineering, which means we have to be both the victim and the attacker. So we have to go over to the Windows 7 or 8 or 10 machine. We have to download a file, launch it, play like we don't know what we're doing, go back over to Kali, and then we begin to hack as if it was all transparent to us. All these phishing emails, that's because those newer operating systems cannot be hacked through the hardware layer. We need the user to help open the back door. And that user has got to do something that's going to allow us to open a back door. And that's why we see so many phishing email attempts out there nowadays. So we defrag. Say that okay to that. Let's go ahead and do a real quick compact. That's done. So that concludes this short video presentation on how we go about creating a virtual install of an unattended Windows XP. Now, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact your instructor, and I'll see you in my next video.